Hello, and welcome to Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet. My name is Jordan Willis.
My name is David Howe.
My name is Patrick Nisley.
I'm Summer Rain.
And boy, oh boy, it's all four of us.
Yay.
Four up. What's
It's
up?
us again.
How's it going?
Clapping for everybody.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
We love us. I ship us.
Anyway, we're here for episode 229. Detective Pikachu Returns. If this intro is anything to go by, it's going to be a little bit of a loosey-goosey episode. But we got a lot of news this week. Man, a lot of news. We got Animal Crossing Legos, Mario Wonders at Target kiosk. We got 3DS and Wii U online going away. Maybe Microsoft Activision merger closing soon. Breaking news about Unity CEO. We're going to get all into that. But first off, how's everyone doing today?
Yep.
Who wants to start?
I'll go because I already kind of.
Hell yeah.
So I've been kind of talking about it a little bit, but this past weekend, my partner's great grandmother was buried. So we've been kind of having an ongoing, but it finally kind of feels like closure is happening. And it's, yesterday we had the actual burial service. So that feels not good, but like closure happened and it feels like we can start moving on, or at least, begin the process of moving on. So a little bit of relief is, I guess, how I'm feeling. Not necessarily great, but just closure is a nice thing to be able to have. So, but anyway, that's pretty honestly how I'm doing. How about y'all?
Well, thanks for sharing that, Jordan. I'm doing okay. I mean, it's like I've been better also. This is gonna be a weird episode. But I mean, it's like it's chill. I'm fine.
The more you keep saying it, the less I believe it, David.
I'm fine. No, I'm good. I'm going in for round 2 of treatment tomorrow in Houston. I got to get up early. I'll tell you what, I did not play Pokemon Detective Pikachu 2 Strangers in Paradise or whatever this game is called.
That's it. That's what it's called.
But I'm excited to hear what you guys thought, and I will be sure to give my thoughts on the Nintendo closing of the 3DS and Wii U onlines, which I have a vested interest in discussing. But yeah, I'm doing okay. Hey, gang, only up from here. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. I'm fine, just busy. I am trying to adjust to a new rhythm of life with my wife working on Sundays and what that means, and me working a full-time job. And then I pretty much, like, every night I'm working on my game, and even nights where I'm like, you know what, I really probably should just do nothing, I find myself doing it. So the motivation is not a problem. But I am like maybe a little burning the candle at both ends, and I gotta maybe stop, but I don't know how to do that. So I'll figure it out. Could be worse problems. So that's me. I don't really know. It's been a fine week, I guess. And what about you, Summer?
Yes. Tell us about the show.
Yes.
Thank you. So my show was it's been really good. Been really good being in a production like this again. So I am in a show called A Sensual Journey. It's like the telling of feminine sensuality through time, like different burlesque styles and stuff like that. And it's been really good. Our opening night was Friday. We had another show Saturday night. And then we've got 2 more shows coming up this week, Thursday night and Saturday night. Saturday night is the closing of the bigger festival that we are a part of, the Fringe Festival here in Oklahoma City. So really, it's been really good for me, but I'm also been really tuckered out by it. So, did some other, festival excursions this weekend. I went to Czech Fest here in Oklahoma, and by the time I got back, Czechoslovakia, not cashier's check.
Cashier's check.
So
No one will ever know this is take 2 of this.
Sunday morning, I woke up, I had breakfast, and then I fell asleep for like 4 more hours until I had to wake up again for my current D&D campaign that I'm in. And then today I was like, oh, I'm going to be able to finish my work earlier today and have time to do other things before we record the podcast. No, I fell asleep. So Patrick, related, your body will tell you when it's time to quit, whether you like it or not.
I'm going to take a nap during the Detective Pikachu segment.
As you probably should. You can just listen to what we say after. So
it'll just lull me into a deep sleep. I have a question for you, Summer. What are you more invested in? Your personal D&D campaign or Baldur's Gate 3?
Ooh, so what's funny is that me and another
yes,
person,
I want you to throw your friends under the bus. Is what I'm saying for your digital friends.
Okay, so they're two very different experiences. This is my first time actually being a part of a long-term D&D campaign, and I'm having so much fun. Baldur's Gate is helping me to understand how to participate in a normal D&D campaign, but it's also screwing me and one other person up because another person in the campaign who has played D&D for a very long time keeps asking the DM, wait, are you sure that this is a bonus action? Or the DM is like, no, it's a normal action. And she's like, why do I keep thinking it's a bonus action? And I'm like, because Baldur's Gate is fucking us up right now. Because there's so many things in Baldur's Gate that are bonus actions that are actually just normal actions in our campaign. And I think we're just playing normal 5e. The answer is neither is better. They're both very different experiences. Like our campaign is like this very funny, highly niche thing that this DM has cultivated for us. It's like all of these different mafia mobsters, and Baldur's Gate is almost like a more classical D&D campaign.
Thank you.
So no, I'm not answering your question, but I'm answering your question, but not answering your question. It's fun doing both at the same time. I did play more Baldur's Gate after we were done with our campaign. So, because I was like, it always just makes me itch for more of that experience when we're done.
Well, we did an episode on Amiibo and the end of Amiibo. Is it the end of Amiibo last week? And over on the YouTube, we got lots of comments. Carasetta thinks that Nintendo will continue to support Amiibo in a nominal manner. Eric says Matt, and also they've been collecting Amiibo since day one. Glad to see an episode about it. Sprowlix says 51 worldwide classics have never been the same without Matt. Record will also start calling it the Super Switch, and we're going to will it into existence. And then Ant Keeps Gaming says they buy the Amiibo for their toy to life functionality, but also as a collectible. So over on our Discord, we had a lot of conversation. Just quickly want to shout out to Cool Uncle Vince, who corrected that the EAFC 24 is like a new version and probably the soccer game to get on the Switch since all the other ones are not good.
Yeah. Thanks for calling me out on that, Vince. I always rely on you to be the Politico fact checked for our podcast.
Yes.
I definitely misunderstood. I was looking up the FIFA 23 that had just been taken down. At this point, the EAFC had not come out. But it's good to know that there's finally like a decent football game on the Switch. And by that, of course, I mean soccer.
And then they also mentioned that the Animal Crossing Amiibo, that the strategy for Nintendo's Amiibo kind of hit a wall there. Because I kind of wanted to talk about that, but we talked about so many other important things that we didn't talk about how the one sort of glut of Animal Crossing Amiibos may have affected some of their decisions too. But yeah, we got other comments. Apologize if we don't shout you out this time. A lot of comments this week, which is great. But, we do appreciate getting them, and we'll try to shout you out. So definitely leave us a comment on YouTube or on the Discord or somewhere else. And also hop over to the YouTube if you're not already there and hit like and subscribe. And with that, we're going to talk about Animal Crossing again, and they are getting Lego sets. So this has been sort of informally announced by a little video of them. We don't know what the sets look like. It was a Nintendo posting. So these have been rumored for a while, but they're happening. I don't know what to say about it. It's
They
happening.
look good.
I think they look
do.
great.
Yeah, I have not purchased Legos in probably since I've been divorced. So I haven't had a reason to, but this is I might have to.
Yeah, I think these are I like that these are actually just like minifigs, right, of the characters. That's kind of what I wish the Mario ones were, instead of some strange amalgam of electronica and Lego. But yeah, I think these look great, and it'll be nice to have a little town of them. Like if you could build like an actual, I feel like Animal Crossing kind of feels like a little Lego town that you can just like move your characters
That's
around.
true.
In. So
Yeah.
if you could like kind of recreate that feeling in Lego, I think that's probably the best way to go about this.
Yeah.
Totally. I also am like, I see the dollar signs in their eyes of like blind packs of just being able to do.
Oh, but if they did that
so
for figures,
many- yeah,
for
dude.
characters, because there's so many. Because I'm like looking at the base set ones, and I'm like, yeah, these are all like the popular villagers, like historically popular ones. But like, I'm gonna need some of the niche ones.
Yeah,
personally,
it's kind of how the game works, right? You just kind of randomly get given characters on your island.
I mean,
so.
Lego does blind bags, and Lego Mario has done blind bags.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's,
There you
And
go.
I did bite for some of those Lego Mario blind bags because I honestly thought that was cooler than the actual Mario figure.
yeah,
like
the enemies look good. Yeah.
Mm.
So if they do blind bags of these minifigs, I will probably buy it. I don't know if I'll get any of the sets, but I like the concept.
We're all like, fuck loot boxes, but give us blind bags.
No, please don't. Let us pick.
IRL loot boxes only. Thank you very much.
Oh
cool,
boy.
though?
We'll move on. We got a lot of news. So when we were talking about Amiibo, we were talking about the death of retail as well. But hey, this helps. Mario Wonder is playable at store kiosks in Target. It's an excuse to. I really think I've seen like a lot of people be like, "I'm gonna go to Target and check this out." I don't.
Yeah.
This hasn't happened in Switch history. It seems like where a game gets a demo at a store.
Is that true?
Before, it just doesn't seem like it. Maybe early on they did, but
maybe not like specifically to advertise a game. Maybe.
I know like Best Buy got like Smash stuff before Smash came out at least. But it's been probably since the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's probably definitely.
Yeah,
the biggest
maybe
one.
we haven't seen something since 2019. That might be
Yeah.
it, which feels like ever in the Switch's lifetime for sure.
yeah. Well, at any rate, if you want to play Mario Wonder before the 20th, you can go to a Target. I think some other stores might have it now too. I was
That's
reading
nostalgic.
online,
I might
but-
do that.
Be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to work at GameStop, and that was such a fun part of the job, was playing all the shit before it came out, and
Yeah.
I've got a lot of nostalgia for that for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm fucking excited. Part of me just wants to wait though, you know, and just kind of like let it rush all over me whenever I get it, because I'm definitely planning on getting that. Drops the same day as, of course, Spider-Man 2, but also Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon.
Ooh.
Tough choice. But you know what? Switch is portable, so you could just bring your Switch while watching Killers of the Flower Moon, play some Mario Wonder while you watch the film. That's how Scorsese intended it.
That's how
Oh yeah,
Scorsese
I'm sure Alamo Draft's House would love that. You know,
Yep,
bring
yeah,
your
just-
big screen, turn your OLED all the way
all the way
up,
up, brightness,
Make sure,
volume
you
all the
know.
way up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Well, I'm sure we'll be talking more about Mario Wonder in the weeks to come. But something that is going away is Pac-Man 99, or is gone now as of
It's dead.
as of this recording.
He's dead, Jim.
Pac-Man 99 died so that F-Zero 99 could fly. Maybe
It's good Skyway.
could skyway.
I certainly would prefer that it not be gone, and we'll talk more about things that I wish would not be gone here in just a second. But it's a bummer. I think, like, you know, I think that out of all of them, this was kind of like the least popular out of all the 99s. This is also the one that wasn't published by Nintendo, right? This was a Bandai Namco joint, like through and through. And it was Eureka who did the development for Mario Brothers 35 and Tetris 99. But you know, it's just a shame to see it go. You know, there's like, I've been reading, there's like articles about this like family of these like two very sickly like young girls who like all they do is play Pac-Man 99, and they've been like petitioning Nintendo to like keep it around, and my heart goes out to them. So hopefully you know, just like Mario 35 has like pirate servers that like host it. Hopefully there is some, somebody can like buy and hack an OG Switch and send it to these these poor girls so they can continue to play Pac-Man 99 on modded software. But yeah, it's a shame to see it go. I do love these kinds of games.
Well, as David hinted and Jordan said up top, a much bigger thing is going away, and that is the online functionality for the 3DS and the Wii U. Nintendo announced that they're going to be taking down the network, whatever it is, that allows for online play, and
the Nintendo network,
in these systems starting in early April of 2024. So what's that, about 7 months from now? Not that long from now. They really have been slowly shutting down everything on these, right? Like, purchases went away, and now online is going away.
So my main question is, does this affect your ability to re-download games that you've purchased?
No. You could still re-download games from the Wii shop, the Wii shopping channel. Yeah.
Great.
So that I don't really know exactly where the legality is in that. That's kind of a threshold none of these digital platforms have really crossed yet, right? Like when that starts to happen, I think that's going to be an interesting day, right? I think it's, when people start to realize like how little they actually own things that they buy. Yeah, so no, that'll still be around. And for the record, there are some games on the 3DS and I think also on the Wii U that use third-party servers and don't connect to the Nintendo network. Obviously, all of Nintendo's first-party games use Nintendo network, and most third-party games also utilized it. But not literally everything is being shut down. But there's no way around this. This sucks. This is really shitty. My mind immediately went to Mario Maker, the original Mario Maker, right? And I think like, maybe it's because like I just follow a lot of Mario Maker YouTubers, but it's like, like Ryukar, who is one of my favorite Mario Maker content creators, mainly plays the original Mario Maker. It's because it's like there are a whole bunch of modes and shit that are in the original Mario Maker that are like much more entertaining than like endless like super expert or whatever, right? Like the kind of like you can finish it within like a 30-minute YouTube video sort of like format, right? And then of course obviously just all the levels that everybody put up on Mario Maker are just going to be gone forever, right? Pretty much rendering that game essentially useless, as there's no way to really share the levels that you make inside that game. Of course we have Mario Maker 2, but there's a lot of changes in that game, right? Splatoon 1, another huge one that a bunch of people still play all the time. You turn on Splatoon 1, you'll find a match instantly, always full lobbies. Xenoblade Chronicles X has a whole online component that is going away. There's no port for that game. And then, obviously not to mention all the 3DS games as well that are going to go down. So this is a pretty shitty, kind of inevitable, but it's also like wild that the PS3 and the Vita have like outlasted like Nintendo's most recent systems before the Switch, right? Like it's just kind of bad.
I don't know if there's anything else to say. It's bad.
Get your puzzle pieces. Be taking your 3DS with you everywhere, because that specifically, like, it's the communication that like imports the puzzle pieces. Like even though you can still like Street Pass, it's like the games that like the games that communicate with Street Pass like will no longer
Spot
function.
Pass is going away. Yeah. I mean, there's more to say. I don't want to like beat a dead horse too much. God knows I've been doing that a lot recently. I don't know what that means. I mean, one thing to bring up is that there are potential saviors somewhere in here for this kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Pretendo network, but that is an open source like group that I actually just joined their Discord. And they have basically, if you mod your console, you can reroute certain things in order to play some of these games online, or at least that's the idea. It's not fully set up yet. They've got a lot of projects that they're going on, and they actually made a tweet recently being like, hey, with the news of the shutdown, we're redoubling our efforts. We're shifting our focus to preserving as much of online as we can. They've already done some things, as one of them being kind of like a new version of Miiverse, right? That lives within the Pretendo network instead
That
of
would
the
be cool.
Nintendo network. Yeah, I mean, that's out. They've done that, right? So I think I think that they're a really solid group of people. I'd love to talk to one of them on the show. I actually reached out, and hopefully we could have a talk with them, because I think that'd be really fascinating to learn more about that, because I am pretty ignorant on it. I just am very fascinated by the idea. And I think last thing I'll say about this is, this was inevitable, and I think this is an awful thing. That said, I think that it also could potentially mean that Nintendo's new online service, the Nintendo Switch Online, NSO, is what they want to do going forward. You know what I mean? Because Nintendo Network and Nintendo Switch Online were two completely separate things, and then you add into that as well what was on the Wii, which was Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. That was what was on the Wii and the DS. So they've basically had like three different like servers. Yeah, like iterations of their online for a while, right? And you can only hope that the shutting down of this means that they're putting everything they have into NSO in their current online model, right? What scares me there is that it's called NSO, which means if we ever get a system that isn't the Nintendo Switch, that it's like, are they just gonna shut that shit down too?
It's all like, Super Switches from here out. Super Switch, Super Switch, so on and so forth.
Super Switch 2.
Yeah. So either way, I'm sad to see it go. There's a lot of stuff I want to play. I'm still kind of like figuring out like what I want to do with this information over the course of the next few months, and see what kind of games I actually do want to play and have a go at again. But yeah, time will tell.
And continuing bad news, there's been just lots of video game layoffs. The most recent ones include some QA workers at Keyword Studios who were in a union, which was apparently Canada's first video game union. And they were all working on the Dragon Age Dreadwolf game for BioWare, obviously like through a contract or something. But they have all been fired. All of the unionized workers have all been laid off. And in fact, BioWare is like, even like we talked about, BioWare had layoffs a couple weeks ago in one of the many layoffs in this industry recently. And apparently a bunch of workers there are suing, or former workers are suing them for severance and stuff like that. So what a big mess with that game.
Yeah, they're really tightening over there at BioWare.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously there was also lots of layoffs too. It's not in the show notes here, but at Naughty Dog. And,
everywhere, it seems like it's crazy.
It's bad.
And it was, it's kind of all but confirmed that the Last of Us multiplayer game as a service, live service game is canceled. Last of Us Factions, which was, they removed multiplayer from Last of Us 2, so it could be its own standalone game, and it seems like that's a lot of the staff that was let go. So that's another live service game that was killed before it was even released, if that is to be believed. Yeah. So it's just a very it's a tough time in the industry right now.
Yeah.
And we're just going to pile on bad news for a little bit here. Or I guess maybe there's some glimmers of hopes in here, but the Microsoft Activision merger that we've been talking about for so long, there's rumors that it might conclude successfully this Friday. The last hang up is the UK, which is apparently, according to wherever these rumors are coming from, going to be worked out. And on Friday the 13th, it may well be that we find out that these two giant companies are now one. So we have that to look forward to.
I'm ready for this to happen, is what I'll say.
Yeah. Just any sort of conclusion. Like, we've been talking about this for over a year now. How long has it been?
Yeah.
It's just one way or the other. At this point, I'm just tired of talking about it.
Well, we will see if that ends up being true or not.
In 4 days.
Another thing we've been talking about a lot lately is the Unity debacle, we'll call it, where they changed their pricing. Unreal announced some new pricing, by the way, too, for but that's not really that relevant because it's like for non-games use. Anyway, but over at Unity, the current CEO, who is formerly of EA and caught a lot of fire for a lot of these decisions of the past few years, John Riccitiello, is stepping down as the CEO and retiring. So I think a lot of people are happy to hear that and hoping that that means there's going to be some changes, but I don't know that it does.
John Riccitiello.
Yeah.
I have like such mixed feelings about this. Like the tinfoil hat comes on my head when I'm like, yeah, they're laying off the CEO, but he wasn't alone in how these decisions were made. It feels like they're just like, bro, you're the scapegoat. We're going to give you this golden parachute. You gotta go. We'll make sure on the way out you get a nice little severance package, unlike the workers at BioWare. You're going to get a nice little package, and we're just going to have to move on. So that's what my tinfoil hat says, because he's won too many things. But
he sold a fuck ton of his shares beforehand, so he's already got a like $1.5 million parachute that is helping him on his way out. So it's he's I don't know. I'll pull up. I don't know if you have a picture of the article up, Patrick, right now, but if not in editing, I'll pull up a picture of his face. I mean, just look at the guy. Like, fuck him, dude. Like, I'm so glad to see him go. Like, he's such a fucking smug piece of shit. I hate this guy. He sucks. He sucked when he was at EA. He was the guy who was like talking to shareholders about how great it would be if you like charged $1 every time somebody in Battlefield reloaded their gun. Like, he's the guy who was like loot box fucking central. Fuck this guy. I'm glad to see him go. And not that the guy who they've got as the interim dude coming in is any better. He's the owner of a holdings company that has a bunch of shares and whatever. So, I don't see this getting any better. Like Unity has been around, like John Riccitiello has been around, or Riccitiello has been around for about half of the lifespan of Unity. And
the downward slide of it.
Yeah, right. But it's like also like, I mean, he has made it as popular as it is. You know what I mean? It's like but with that, it like has never made profit, right? And it's like this was his attempt to finally like turn the profit button on. And it had huge backlash. So I don't see the board of directors not wanting to continue to make a profit off of this. So I think that there's still rocky waters ahead for Unity. But as it stands right now, fuck him. Fuck this guy. I hope him and Jim Ryan are hanging out on Canceled Island together. I don't want to see either of them ever again. Get lost, bozo.
Hopefully Bobby Kotick joins them soon.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, dude.
Oh, boy. We're going to move on to talk about Cyberpunk 2077. I think this is just an excuse for us to talk about this game, but they've made an announcement that a live action adaptation is going to take place. We don't know if it's a TV show or a movie. I don't think yet. But what's really funny about, I just think this is a great opportunity because I feel like this game has really turned a corner. Like a year or two ago. I don't remember exactly when.
We knew this was going to happen because that's what happens to all of this studio's games, right?
Yeah.
Witcher 3 was fucking busted when it came out, but it's now one of the greatest games of all time. Like, we knew this game was going to eventually be good. It was just like,
they did it. Now I feel like, I now you feel like you see arguments be like, Starfield is no Cyberpunk 2077. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've heard legitimately somebody said something like that to me.
I feel like I'm taking fucking crazy pills. Like seriously, like gamers. Gamers are just on my shit list
just
right
fickle,
now. Dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going fucking
yes,
mode
dude.
right now.
Gamers suck. I hate everyone listening to this podcast.
No, that's not true. I like the Switch Headz community. Okay, but fucking dude, I'm so fucking annoyed with gamers right now. Like seriously, every one of them is a petulant fucking child. Like all the reviews of fucking the show I've been working on are fucking gamers being like, "Oh, you didn't make the show just like the games." It's like, oh, really? You wanted a fucking show where Richter walks from the left to the right and goes like this for a fucking while? It's called a fucking adaptation. Anyway, sorry, I'm letting some shit out right now. This is really, really healthy for me. But I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because this game has always been good.
Right. Yeah.
This game has been good the whole time. I played this game when it came out. I fucking loved it, dude. And now that like the cops are a little bit smarter, they're like, dude, this is the best game I've ever played. It's like, dude, no, it's always been good. Yes, it's better now, but like, bro. Anyway, we're talking about an adaptation. I think it's probably going to be a movie. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. You got Keanu right there. Yeah. Just make it.
You got Keanu.
For the podcast listeners, I'm in tears right now.
Just God, you just can't fucking.
You can't win.
Just can't win with some people.
The internet is not a good invention.
Yeah, seriously, everyone's shitting on Starfield right now. I'm so tired of hearing everybody shit on Starfield. It's like, oh my God, talk about literally anything else. Everyone's like, oh, here's everything wrong with Starfield. Not talking about any of the like 1,000 good things about the game. It's just like the bad things. This is going to happen in like 8 months. There's going to be like a DLC and they'll be like, dude, Starfield was always good. What are you talking about? And it's just like
the modders will fix their problems with it.
So fucking frustrating, dude. My God damn. Anyway, sorry.
I would argue that the things that are bad about Starfield are also the things that are good about Starfield, though.
I agree.
Like, it's charming, right?
They're just different games, you know?
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
No, what we should talk about, because this is just general cyberpunk talk, is they're changing to Unreal 5 for their next game. Did you guys hear about that? They said we've officially moved on to development of Cyberpunk 2 and we're changing engines to Unreal 5, which for my money, I'm just like, why the fuck would you ever do that? Like, Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the best looking games I've ever played. It runs 60 FPS on the fucking Steam Deck. Like, it's so optimized, the Red Engine. I just have no idea why they're moving.
Rebuild.
That was their engine, right? It
was their proprietary engine, and they're scrapping it for Unreal. I just don't understand. It's such a strange, boneheaded decision. But
they didn't say why?
No, they didn't really say. I mean, probably for
Epic
Lumen and maybe Epic. No, maybe Epic's paying them to do it. You know, who fucking knows? But
I mean,
whatever it is, it's silly, dude.
Development time might be quicker. They might have run into a lot of issues with Cyberpunk 2077 because it took them a while to make that game. So maybe they just like during the development of that game, they realized like, we need to switch. I don't know. I'm curious.
You just think with like a framework already in place that might cut down on development time, right?
Well, and especially now that people are more positive on the game, you would think like, oh, hey, now that people actually like this, let's just continue with what we got.
Maybe all their fixes are like just crazy spaghetti code, and they're like, we can't improve upon
that might be it.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. Kind of laying down the track as you're going, like, doesn't really give you a lot of time to like make sure the steel is exactly where you need it to be, right? You're just trying to fucking put track down.
Well, and it just based on how long it actually took to get this DLC out and how much they had to cancel along the way, like Cyberpunk 2077, one of my favorite parts was they were supposed to have a multiplayer DLC like campaign. Like you could play through the whole campaign multiplayer with your friends. They eventually had to cut that. I think they just started stripping features because they're like, this shit is not going to work. So when they're switching to a different engine, I feel like it's something along those lines. Yeah.
Well, the other live action adaptation news we want to mention, I guess this isn't really an adaptation, but the new Pokemon live action drama is got a trailer. I think it's just coming out in Japan. I don't know that maybe it'll come out everywhere. I don't know.
I doubt it. It looks very Japanese.
So this got a trailer. I don't know that we'll get to see it here, but it is not like when we say live action, it's not like in the Pokemon world. It's like about a woman who's playing Pokemon, right? The game.
It kind of reminds me. Did you guys watch Final Fantasy Father of Light?
No, but I need to. I've heard of it.
Yeah, so this kind of it's technically a Final Fantasy title, but it's specifically about a dad who starts playing Final Fantasy 14 in an effort to connect with his son, who does nothing but play Final Fantasy 14. And it's very good. I highly recommend it. Netflix had picked it up just to like put it, but they didn't dub it or anything. They just subtitled it. And so this kind of reminds me of that. So I'm hopeful, because just watching the trailer, I'm extremely interested. Like I will probably find a way to watch this because it's just like really endearing. And it sounds like it just like kind of almost like a coming of age or like just a woman in the workplace, Pokemon is helping her get by, like kind of story, or like helping her to, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what it reminds me of.
I think I've never heard of this before, and seeing that was on Netflix, and knowing that we're getting Pokemon Concierge on Netflix, right? That's coming to Netflix, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
And so I think it is pretty likely then that we'll get just like a straight up sub of this, and then it's also interesting that we're in like this era of video game movies that are like this, and like Gran Turismo is set in a world where a kid plays Gran Turismo a lot, and like
oh my gosh,
yeah, which I saw that movie. I thought it was pretty good, but it was like also there's that movie Rain on Me. You guys ever see that movie or hear about it?
It's not Lady Gaga. It's
no. It's it's Adam Sandler and Don Cheadle, I think, and it's like a 9/11 movie. It's like about how 9/11 happened, and he had like a lot of trauma from it, and the way he gets over it is by playing Shadow of the Colossus for PS2.
I saw this movie in the theater. I forgot about this.
It was like 2004 or something like that.
Oh my gosh!
Let me see it. Rain on Me.
Weird.
Rain Over Me. Rain Over Me. It's 2007. Yeah.
Wild.
It's based on the Who song. Yeah.
All right. Well,
this podcast used to be about Nintendo at one point in the past.
It's about to be again.
We're bringing it back because we're going to be talking about Detective Pikachu. You know, the game's out now. We've decided to play it for this week's episode. There's not really a whole lot of news about it, but we'll just mention that it's reviewing middlingly, right where you expect it. It's got a 68 on Metacritic.
So close to being a nice game.
so close. But several of us here have played it, and we're going to talk all about Detective Pikachu Returns after this short break. All right, we are back, and this week we are talking about Detective Pikachu Returns. You can blame me because I bought the game, and
made it everyone's problem.
Made it everyone's problem to play this game, but I figured I am in a good position to play this game, and it is a good fit for me and my play it with my son. But I don't know.
Tell us, Patrick. Do you love Pokemon now?
I am enjoying playing this game.
Hey!
I will say that, which I kind of expected, and that's why I sprung for it, because I figured it would be a good game for us to play over here. Mm-hmm. So my thoughts are going to be colored by that, I think, a little bit. So, but as we like to do on these sort of initial impressions episodes, overall, for those of us that have tried it, how are we feeling about this? I kind of said that already for me, but Jordan, Summer, what do y'all think?
It's fine. I mean, like, it's about what I expected it to be. So based off the trailers and based off my knowledge of the original, which I didn't play the original, so I was kind of coming in fresh of perspective. But yeah, Summer, how did you feel about it?
So full disclosure, I was not planning on playing this game at all prior to being told that we were going to do an episode on it. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm going to keep playing it. I have always been a fan of Pokemon games that do explore the Pokemon. And I did play. So I did play the original on the 3DS. Mm-hmm. But honestly, and like, so full disclosure, like it was David's commentary previously about like, this game looks like shit. I was like, yeah, I don't want to play that. And
did I cyberbully you into not wanting to play this game?
A little bit. Well, cause like every time you said it, and then I would like be looking at it. And like the last time I saw a trailer for it, or like the last direct, I was like, yeah, the game does look bad. I don't want to play that. And now I'm playing it. And I'm like, I think part of it is like, as long as I play it handheld. I tried to play it on the TV and I was like, I definitely can't do this. But when I play it handheld, I'm like in the zone for it, I guess, because like the original was on the 3DS. So, and yeah, anything that explores the Pokemon universe that isn't just like the standard games, I really like. I love the fleshing out of Pokemon that. So I'll probably keep playing it, like, especially for those reasons, like anything that teaches me more about the Pokemon universe and how different Pokemon like behave and interact and stuff. Like I do still like that kind of crap. So here I am.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for exposing me as someone who gaslights our listeners into thinking games look bad. But I think for me, it was always just that especially after having like watched recently some footage of the original 3DS game, you can just see this is just the 3DS game in HD. It's like the models are the same of the characters, like the Detective Pikachu's like model is the same. Now that I'm like comparing the two more, I think it's just they kind of clearly just used the 3DS assets again, right?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the graphics. I think that's the big, not the big thing, but is the sort of a big thing. I feel like really both ways about it. Like I don't like as I'm playing it. I think my son said it really well. Where when early on he's like, these animations are good, but it also kind of looks old.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of what it looks like. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's not terrible, but it does kind of look like not a modern, like maybe something that would have come out 10 years ago or something in some regards.
It really reminds me of the way, specifically, it reminds me of the way characters moved in like Kingdom Hearts 2. So when you say 10 years ago, which I guess that was more than that, like it's a PS2 game, but something about the way the characters move, like the weird exaggerated movements.
They do.
I'm like, this is Kingdom Hearts bullshit.
Their idols and stuff in the background are a little
yeah.
much for sure. That was also something he commented on because it is a little weird when there's like you're talking to somebody and they're just like moving like crazy.
Right, like that kind of stuff is dated a little, yeah.
I think the other thing that felt dated to me, like graphic wise, like whenever you maybe like meet someone for the first time or it's like a story beat, like it'll zoom in and have like a cutscene with like some voices, actual like voice recordings of people, and then it'll cut to, and then it'll be dialogue boxes.
Right.
But graphically, it's fine. It does what it needs to do. But I mean, in a year where Tears of the Kingdom came out, it feels a little wanting.
Yeah. I think the Pokemon work well. Like the humans actually don't look terrible. It's just like it works better when it's like you're just Pikachu riding around on Growlithe or something. Like something about them feels more cartoony, obviously, and fake. And so it doesn't feel like we're trying to mimic the real world when it's just these weird creatures. And that works better, I feel like, visually. But something I do think looks really good is the character portraits. So this is like a, dialogue heavy game, like a visual novel almost. And it has where when somebody's talking, they have really dynamic character portraits. Every line is a different pose. And maybe it's because they're smaller. But they kind of strike me as like those character portraits are pretty nice. The worst thing is probably the environment. Like when you see grass up close and stuff like that, that just looks totally bad.
All the character models are pretty decent, whether it be Pokemon or human. But yeah, it's the environments that you have to walk around in that feel to me like the worst part.
I think the lighting too is kind of what threw me early on.
That might be part of it
too. It's very flat and gray and kind of colorless.
Yeah. That's another thing that makes it feel like an early 2000s animation or something. In addition to the way the characters look and move, that is what it is. I guess it's little the one when people talk and their mouths open. Something about the way that their teeth and the darkness of their mouth is very weird. That is one of the weirder things that every time I'm playing it, I kind of stare at their mouths.
The chasm, the darkness.
It's weird. It's just weird. So if I try to not focus on that, it doesn't look.
It's a mystery Detective Pikachu can't solve.
But we tend to package when we talk about the graphics with the other aesthetic elements, like the music. I really like the music in this game, in particular. Not all of it, but some of it.
I've been really enjoying the music. I've played probably about 2 hours. Banger after banger. Very nice, general big band jazz.
Yeah, a lot of jazz. It's all
it
like
feels
this
great.
Jazz. It fits and like
that is one problem that the Pokemon games have never had is music. You know,
Yeah.
I think music in almost every Pokemon game is pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they
I
got
would
it
say
here.
this, yeah,
And then
it's
like,
no exception.
and like Jordan said, it's all kind of vibes well together. It's a lot like there's a lot of jazz, and then the jazz kind of plays a role in the game and the story. Like in this coffee shop, they play jazz and stuff like that. But like every once in a while, I'm like, yeah, this is a good song.
Yeah,
but-
I will say when I play video games, my partner in the background, she is not always paying attention to the visuals. So she's like, when you play video games, the only thing I really notice is the music. And so when I was playing this game, she's like, this music's pretty good. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. It is actually pretty good.
Oh,
So I don't know. It's just a really funny, like whenever she's like, yeah, the music in this game is pretty good. She's got good taste, you know? Like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. It is good.
How are y'all feeling about the story so far and sort of the characterizations and dialogue and that element of it, the world?
I think my main question is, so Patrick, did you play the first one?
I did not.
Okay. Summer, you played the first one.
Mhm.
So as a continuation of the first one, how is it? Because it's a two-part story, kind of, sort
It
of.
feels like it's very much building.
And it's
off of
even
it.
more confusing with the movie, but I love that they addressed that in the game. That was spot on.
Oh yeah, are they
actually-
like? There's a movie made about our story.
I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
The sister was like, but why weren't me and mom in it? And Tim's like, oh, you know how movies are sometimes or something.
They do their own
They
thing.
do their own thing as their way of explaining, like, no, like the whole mystery of the dad is not actually solved. Like that the movie did that, but like that's not how things are in the game. In the games, yeah, it's just literally a continuation of where things ended in that game.
Does it
Yeah.
do a good? Does the game do a good job catching you up if you didn't play the first?
Oh
game?
yeah, it absolutely stands alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that early on too, of like, oh wow, this is like a lot of groundwork. And then I was like, oh, but I guess most people probably didn't play the first game, so like, it's
Yeah.
totally
I
fine.
Nintendo put out a video, a like recap of the story of the first game, and I was
Mhm.
gonna watch it with my son, but we got started and we played it, and we didn't. I
Need
haven't.
it.
I haven't felt like I've needed to, you know, because I think I got
Mhm.
the gist enough.
The other thing about the game that reminded me of Kingdom Hearts 2, I was like, oh, look at all of this backstory that I don't have to play the first one.
there's a lot of. I mean, it's a story-based game, so I like it doesn't
Yeah,
feel frustrating, you know.
Mhm.
I think that like in terms of the writing and the dialogue, it's fine. It's not terrible. It's not even bad. It's what stands out to me is that the localization isn't better. Like they'll use the word human over and over, and where like people or person or something to mix it up would feel good. Or they'll use like the word culprit, like every character in the room is saying, oh, so the culprit must have done this. Yes, I think the culprit did. And I'm like, fucking somebody get a thesaurus out. And like, because culprit is not something that the victim will say, you know what I mean? Like there's a theft and the guy who's stolen from is like, oh, so
Yeah, they
you
would
think
say-
the culprit, the
They would say
thief, or yeah.
Perpetrator.
yeah. Just like that too, yeah. But other times I'm happy with the writing too, right? Like there's some little cleverness and stuff like that too. So I feel like maybe whoever localized it didn't get to maybe do like a second pass on some of that stuff or
I
something.
feel like Nintendo's localization is all over the place, right? Like I think that there's some things that are like really, really good. Like the localization for like Splatoon is amazing, right? And they've got all these like puns that are just in that. Same with Animal Crossing.
Paper Mario is pretty
which those
good.
are actually the same teams made both of those
That's
games. So I
true.
bet they have the same localization teams as well. But it's like, but then also it's like, I think that there are some things that Nintendo just doesn't want purposefully localized colloquially, if that makes sense. You know, it's like, for instance, like in every direct where they're like, the Super Mario Brothers Wonder game. You know,
Yeah.
they'll always say like, in the Fire Emblem Three Houses game,
Yeah.
You know, it's like no one says that. They just say Super Mario Brothers Wonder. They don't say the blank game, you know, but it's like stuff like that are clearly like Nintendo like wants things to be that way. And I think that probably also has ripple effects in the Pokemon.
You're saying that they're the culprit.
Yeah, they are the perpetrators. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Sorry, I'm just popping in every once in a while.
Please do.
To make some comments. I hope you guys don't mind.
But how far are y'all in the game? That's actually a fair
I'm not
question
far.
in the story.
I'm maybe halfway through the first
Case.
the case.
I think I'm about the same part as you, Summer. About
I just
halfway
found
through
out
the
what a
first
bitch
case.
the wife is. So.
Yo,
Oh, yeah, it's pretty early.
You said it.
I've watched enough Scooby Doo. Spoiler alert! I think it's her, but that's just. But I'm only halfway through, so I don't. But I've seen a handful of Scooby Doo episodes. I know how this shit goes. Yeah, I think the dialogue is like fine. It's just it very much reminds me of like this would be great for a kid who is in maybe like elementary school learning to read. Like this is a beautiful game for that. And
Totally.
I feel similarly about the original Pokemon because that's when it came out. Dating myself. Wow. Anyway, but when the
No,
original
that's
Pokemon came out, like
what I
I
was
was in
gonna
like third grade and I was like, you know, I was okay at reading, but I feel like that kind of stuff really helped me out.
Absolutely.
You know?
Mhm.
How much voice acting is in the game? Is everything voice acted, or
No.
is it just
no.
okay? Just like cutscenes, I guess.
Mhm.
It kind of reminds me of this is so silly. I keep comparing it to other games. Well, because the voice of Detective Pikachu is the same guy who voices Ichiban in Yakuza Like a Dragon. And I would say it's got about the same amount of voice acting because it cuts into parts that are just text that you click through.
Maybe he
And
just has a really expensive union rate and they couldn't afford a. Sorry, that was a bad joke.
No, I actually am like
It
not
could be
frustrated
things like that.
by it in this game because I think I'm just kind of it doesn't to me it's not a problem, but I know
Mhm.
Jordan, you kind of hinted it that you don't necessarily like the Switch. It would be nice if everything was voice acted, but
It seems
Yeah.
like in a game like this that would be helpful. You know,
I don't always mind it because sometimes I can read faster than they talk.
totally.
So for
True.
things, so in certain games like this, where I'm like ready to get to like a conclusion, like especially during like the deductions, I like being able to quickly think through things.
Mhm.
Which this is jumping ahead a little on the notes, but that reminds me that I went into the options menu in this game. You can adjust a lot of things, unlike a normal Nintendo game. You can adjust sound effects and volume and the
Mhm.
auto progression of the text and things like that. So I was pleased to see some of that in this. In this,
Can you just
game.
turn off the music?
I believe you can turn off. You can adjust. Like I'm pretty sure you can adjust music and sound effects. I looked at it and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I see it! It's there!" So it
So I could
stood
put
out
on
to
like
me.
Lil Nas X while playing this game. If I
Yes.
Yeah, but the music is actually one of the good
Yeah,
parts.
why
of the
would you
game.
want to? Not that I don't like Lil Nas X. Actually, for the record, I do like Lil Nas X.
That was just the first musician I could think of. Sorry.
But anyway, that's just an aside. We're kind of starting to talk about it with deductions there, Summer, but that's a big part of the gameplay.
Mhm.
I mean, I've heard this described as Ace Attorney for kids, and I
Yeah,
think
that's exactly
a
what it is.
pretty fair assessment, except with more exploration and walking around, maybe. But
Yeah, probably.
the the gameplay is mostly, you know, mousing over stuff and hitting A to like look at it and find clues, or just dialogue, right, and progressing it. But there
Mhm.
is several times in the game where I think there's a missed opportunity to have a little gameplay mix up, but instead they just do QuickTime events. Everything else, there was one time where I was like, I'm surely they're gonna do some sort of different gameplay here. And it was just another QuickTime events, and I say QuickTime event, but they're just like mash A and
Mashing A, okay,
fill up a
yeah.
circle usually. Sometimes it's a QuickTime event of pressing A, but you have a pretty generous.
And see, I wasn't expecting that too, so I almost screwed it up because this is not the kind of game that I expected a QuickTime
Yeah,
event for.
there has been a little bit of gameplay variation in some of the story bits, without spoiling it, but not much.
What you're describing to me sounds kind of like a Telltale game.
Yeah.
You know, like it's probably there's more actual like deduction and mystery stuff in this rather than just like pick your path of the narrative
right?
in a
No,
Telltale
and there's
game. But like,
none of that. Yeah,
there's none of that, right? But the kind of idea of like of just like you've got these like pretty stagnant sections, and then all of a sudden you got to mash something. It's just like, hey, remember this is a game still. You know,
you gotta press A.
Yeah.
I think the gathering evidence and deductions is pretty good for what it is. Like, I don't, could it be better? Maybe. Like, it's pretty easy, but pretty obvious, but that's okay.
As someone who just recently played Phoenix Wright, the first one, it's definitely a little bit easier than that, because sometimes in that game, I'm like, I'm not exactly sure which conclusion I'm supposed to draw, or how I'm supposed to like, which piece of evidence I'm supposed to present to get to where I need to go.
Right.
But I mean, it also like plays into the fact that like, this is at the end of the day, a game for kids,
totally.
And if this is how they can get into a visual novel style game, is like pretty cool. Is it cool to play as an adult? I have mixed feelings about that. And the QuickTime events also just make it feel like a game that's 10 years old. You know, like QuickTime events are very few and far between nowadays. Thankfully, I'm like, was over it when it came out. And now I'm ready to just be done with it.
They didn't die with Shenmue, unfortunately.
The gathering evidence, though, is pretty cool. And like just talking to the characters and stuff like that. I haven't been enjoying that. And then using that to like make deductions is like pretty nice for sure.
Something else that's a little old or antiquated feeling is the side quests. I guess we can call them that. There are extra little things, kind of extra little mini mysteries and so on you can solve to help people around. And I'm definitely inclined to do 0 of them now because occasionally you need to talk to character A and then go talk to character B, right? But if you talk to character B and then you talk to character A, it should, in my opinion, just be like, oh, I've already figured that out for you. Here it goes. You know what I mean? But very often you have to then trek back across and do that. And so then there are many times where we're like, oh, I know exactly what they want, but I'm not going to do that right now because that's like 3 screens away and we're on our way over here. And if it's annoying, like it's a little quality of life thing that this game is missing. But I do actually like doing the side quests. Y'all haven't finished an investigation yet because after a day in the game or whatever, you can read the newspaper. I don't know if this was in the first one. And then all the like things you've solved are in the newspaper. And it's somewhat satisfying to read a little story about these side quests because they often are like extra information. So I don't know.
Ooh, I love information.
Yeah, it's like a little more
like,
about
like
the world.
why I'm going to keep playing this game. Yeah,
just fleshing out the world. I think something you talked about, Summer, that I think is great about this game is seeing the Pokemon interact with other Pokemon because that's such a big part of it, and that doesn't really happen in other Pokemon games, right? Because they just talk nonsense, but in this one they can understand each other, and so that's interesting. Their relationships and stuff.
It is cool to see like the Pokemon have different personalities based on the type of Pokemon they are, or like based on what Pokemon they are. That is pretty cool. I just like seeing the Pikachu talk to other ones for sure.
Yeah. I don't know this for sure. I actually tried to go on how long to beat, and surprisingly, nobody has entered that in yet for this game.
Yeah, this game's like 200 hours long, and nobody's beaten it yet.
Or the kind of people that go to how long to beat.com aren't worried about this one. But I found some website where it suggested it was somewhere between 10 and 15 hours, which...
How many hours have you put into it?
That's
Patrick?
a great question. I would guess it's at least 3 to 5, but I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Because, the Nintendo
just
doesn't
came
like
out
to tell us.
Yeah.
So,
okay. In a week, we'll be able to tell you all how long it
takes
to
probably by next episode, we will have beaten it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Which does also beg the question of $50. I don't know. Like that's a lot for this game. For the way it looks and for how long, if it really is only 10 to 15 hours of gameplay, like I mean, with one story that's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they can't. It's like $50 is the new $40 3DS price, right? It's like
$40 was the top price of a 3DS game, wasn't it?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is that like games that would
Oh, it
have
should
been
have been a
3DS
3DS.
games
Are
are
50.
not going to release for 40. They're going to release for 50. We're seeing that with
Gotcha. Yep.
Mario versus Donkey Kong. Where it will
WarioWare.
probably, WarioWare, I wouldn't call that like a 3DS-ish game, but I think I would bet you anything Luigi's Mansion 2 when it comes out is going to be 50 as well. That's just like, I think they're trying to do away with the $40 price. Like they're saving $40 for whenever they discount first-party Nintendo games on sales or whatever, right?
That
I
makes
think they
sense.
want the bargain price to just be $10 less than normal.
Mhm.
And then when Switch 2 comes out, everything's probably going to be 70.
I mean, like the Metroid Prime remaster though was 40. So I mean, there is
Never mind.
so you know what I mean. So I'm like,
Well,
what is this?
yeah, I mean,
but
that's-
this is a brand new game, so 50, like it makes
Yeah,
sense.
maybe
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what they're fucking thinking with the Metroid Prime thing, because that was like,
That just also
That should
seems
have
like a
been, like,
misnomer.
everybody would have paid 60 for that, you know,
Right.
and they put it out for 4. And then they did Pikmin for 30 each, but then you buy them together and it was 50, I think. So it's all kind of confusing.
Yeah.
I think, this game is definitely for kids or people who love Pokemon, right? I think, a parent to play with a kid, it's a great game for that. I don't know that
Totally.
you can't really recommend this game to an adult who doesn't like Pokemon. Like there's just no.
But you're an adult who doesn't like Pokemon.
I know, but I've got
But
the
he's got a kid who likes
okay.
Pokemon and they're
Okay, my bad.
playing it together. That was part of the
Yeah. I think it's a great game to play with. Like like you said, Jordan, this is a great game for an elementary school age, I think,
Mhm.
so.
Would you say, Patrick, now that you've played both, and I know you haven't finished this yet, would you say this is as good, worse, or better than the death of Sonic the Hedgehog? By
That's
Agatha Christie.
I'm really glad you actually brought that up, because if you're looking for a visual novel, I actually think the Sonic game might be better.
Yo.
The Sonic
Weird,
game
yeah.
has hard platforming in it, though. You can tone it down if you're having trouble with it, but the last few of those are legit hard and kind of challenging and were fun.
Oh, it's got like actual platforming.
It does.
Yeah,
It's got like kind of like mobile Sonic games, like an auto runner segment. Every time the main character has to like think, they play their little Game Gear.
Right,
And it is
right. I remember
an
you
auto
saying
runner
that.
Sonic thing. I think that the Sonic game's probably way shorter. And it had some like visual glitches that I think was just because of the Steam Deck, maybe. But
Mhm.
but
And it was like
it
an
was
April
free.
Fool's joke.
but it's
Yeah,
free.
Yeah.
But it's free, and it's a good visual novel to play with a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll have to. That's a great thing to analyze further after this is over. I think this game's more dynamic and more interesting, and you walk around. That's just like more of a straight visual novel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's not as much of that. But
Different.
yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else y'all want to say on this game? Anything we didn't mention yet, or any closing thoughts? I mean, nope.
I
Crickets.
think we covered it.
Yep.
Do you guys want to see what I've been doing?
Yeah.
Oh,
there you
How
go.
far did you get?
I've been playing some Picross over here.
Very
Yes,
nice.
Listeners, David is sharing his screen instead of it being a video of himself, and we're getting to see his current Picross puzzle.
Logia Art Grimoire? Is that what it's
Lagia
called?
Grimoire.
So that's a
Logia
great
Grimoire.
note to end on. We'll take another short break before we talk about the other games that we've been playing. That
Wait,
aren't
hey, that's
Detective
Patrick's job.
Pikachu.
That's Patrick's job.
But yeah, I think we covered it with the like, if you love Pokemon, you might enjoy playing this, because I do
Yeah.
think
I really will probably keep playing it. I just have been so freaking busy. Like this will be a comfort like before I fall asleep game for sure.
It is
No,
a
yeah.
solid C, right? Like
Definitely. And on that note, Summer, like Phoenix Wright was my game. I would play before I fall asleep instead of reading a book.
Yeah,
And
ex-
it's like it felt
Exactly.
really
It
good.
triggers the same part of my brain that like reading a book does before bed, like games that are like this. So
text
exactly.
heavy, yeah.
Mhm.
For sure. So
Yeah.
I think I might continue for the same reason. I'm going to at least get through the first investigation and see how I feel. But I think I might finish it as well, knowing that it is pretty short.
Right. If it's not like take that long, then like what the hell? Yeah.
And thanks, Patrick, for buying the game.
Yeah. Everybody's welcome. Well, I think that does it then for if you're out there playing it, definitely send us a note and let us know what you think about Detective Pikachu Returns. And with that, we're going to take another short break. And when we come back, we'll talk about the games we've been playing recently. I don't think I have much to report. I really have mostly played Detective Pikachu Returns this weekend. I did squeeze in some F-Zero 99. I did squeeze in some Salmon Run because I have picked that back up.
Yeah.
And the one thing I did play, which was only like 10 or 15 minutes of, because I thought my kid might like it, and the library had it, was No Man's Sky. I thought he might enjoy just flying around in a spaceship and messing around with it. And he did for about 10 minutes. And he's like, I don't like this game.
It's boring.
I thought the Minecraft part of him was like, I think, you could like do stuff. He started to try to do some of that, and he's like, no, I wish it was more realistic, and the planets were more like Earth. And I was like, okay, whatever you want. We was the library, so it was an easy like, we'll take it right back. Let somebody else enjoy it.
Yeah. I'm sure that game is much better than it was on launch. I only played it when it launched and when it was like a shell of a game, right? And I've heard they've added tons of stuff, and they added multiplayer, and I've also heard that the Switch version now, after a bunch of patches, is much better than it was when it launched on the Switch as well.
It was
but
a
it's
Switch
just
version.
It's just not for me. It's like it's like Starfield basically does a lot of what you do on the ground in that game, like the kind of like mining and like grabbing stuff, but it also has like a full game built on it.
It is a very sandbox game, and I think you got to know that going in. And also, it's one of those games that's very complicated. Like, there is a bunch of systems, and you look at these menus, and my brain kind of shuts off when I see like all those menus and all the like things. It's like, that's too much without direction for me.
Yeah, totally.
For sure. I'll go next because I have only been playing a couple of games, mostly the same as what I said last week. So I've been playing more F-Zero 99. I'm getting pretty good. Like, I've gotten pretty decent. I still have not won a race yet. I haven't got first place in any race that I've done. I think the highest I've got now in this past week, I got fourth place. So I'm like getting very close. But I think, anywhere I usually rank top 25. So I feel like, okay, I'm getting way better. I'm starting to know the tracks a little bit more, starting to know when to trigger the skyways. Like, I think that's a huge part of it, is like knowing where it is, where I can maybe hit 3 boosts instead of 2, or sometimes only even 1. So just knowing that and getting a little bit better at the tracks. My main is Wild Goose. My cat is named Goose, so I picked that only for that reason. But then I was like, oh no, the durability is like super helpful.
That's the one I'm best with as well. Yeah. I want to be a Golden Fox main, but in my heart and in my soul, I am a Wild Goose main.
I just like trading paint, man. Like, I like being in the middle of a bunch of people and knowing that I'm not gonna take a lot of damage because I got the high durability. And then also just being able to just bump people and just like not be afraid. I really enjoy that. So anyway, been really liking F-Zero 99. I think this is the only week ever probably that I will beat David in the tournament or whatever point.
Yeah, I think I maybe didn't even play this week.
I know, and that's why I'm saying I think this is the only week I might beat you.
Yeah, I think I took the week off from F-Zero 99.
Whew, because I didn't even have that many points. I had maybe like 2,500 by the end of the week. So anyway, I'm going to take the dub. Thank you, David.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still time.
Yeah. And then I've been continuing on Sea of Stars. I hit a turning point in Sea of Stars. Well, I really enjoyed just like the general gameplay and getting really into the world. But you get certain power-ups that help you traverse the world. And I don't want to like be too spoiler heavy, but I'm just going to say it. There's like basically like a hook shot. And, millennials want one thing, and it's a hook shot in their video games, and it's fucking disgusting. But as soon as I got the hook shot, I was like, I'm all in. I love this game. This is 10 out of 10. Let's keep going. But there's also about to be a really big story turning point where I'm at. So I'm like pretty sold on this game. I will keep going to see kind of where it ends up at. But fantastic game. I'm really loving it so far. Oh, and last but not least, I did finish Castlevania Nocturne this week. I was trying to finish it within 1 week per, like Netflix likes people who binge stuff. So I
Yeah.
binged it. I fucking loved it.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a huge Castlevania fan, and I'm not even just saying this because I know David, because I watched the show before David even worked on it, and I enjoyed season 1 and 2. And I remember when season 1 ended, I was like, "This is 4 fucking episodes. I'm not gonna wait how long for season 2?" But season 4 is my favorite season of all of the Castlevania shows, and it's just like the ending is so satisfying. And so this one, I don't know if I rank it up there with season 4 of Castlevania, but I definitely rank it like just below because it sets up the story for this in a really cool way. And I wanted to say earlier when you were talking about these nerds being like Richter, blah, 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 do you know how storytelling fucking works? Where you do you want just the guy to be the most powerful person ever? Do you want Goku to start at Super Saiyan 4? You want to have no like trajectory for your hero for several seasons. So it's just like, I liked his arc over the course of the season. And I really just enjoyed like getting steeped in the world of the French Revolution and kind of seeing where this story is going to take it next. And I'm super stoked that y'all got announced for a second season because there's a moment at the end of the first season where I was like, oh, if this doesn't get a second season, I'm going to be just upset. So anyway, just wanted to shout out. I finished that show, man. It was great. I loved it.
Thank you so much, Jordan. That means a lot. I mean, it's it's not like I wrote it or anything, but it's like it means a lot to hear you like a Castlevania fan like really enjoying it because that's like who we made it for,
Yeah,
like,
dude.
It's like and it's made by Castlevania fans as well, and I think that's something that a lot of like the really annoying chirpers like online like don't really understand. And again, not that like everybody who has a negative opinion on the show. I've read a lot of people that don't like the show for very legitimate reasons, and it's like that's totally fine, right? But it means a lot hearing that you enjoyed it. I think it's the best thing we've done personally. I'm really, really happy with it. And
I will say, man, animation wise, it is another level. Like the character details on the like character portraits is some of the best work that Powerhouse has ever done. Because I've watched probably I think 3 Powerhouse shows now, maybe 4. I'm trying to remember. I was Seis Manos, and then I watched Skull Island. Skull Island. That was the other one I watched for sure that I remember off the top of my head. And geez, just the character portraits in this are great, dude.
Like, Katie Silva is like the lead character designer on the show, and just like absolutely fucking killed it all the way through. For sure. Drolta is like hot vampire mommy that everybody wants to bang on the internet. And Olrox, I think, is my favorite character as well.
Dude, Olrox was sick. I am really excited to see his continuation. The other thing I love too is like, sorry, I'll stop after this because I really enjoyed
this is a very special kind of episode. Like we abandoned the rails a long time ago on this episode.
We talked about Detective Pikachu a little bit.
That's like probably the smallest part.
This is like a tertiarily Nintendo podcast. Yeah.
Right.
Castlevania's on it. Whatever.
Anyway, yeah.
There's like a lot of really cool psychedelic animation within this series that I was just like was not expecting, like, and the tail end of Castlevania season 4, especially the last episode, there's like some crazy psychedelia animation that I was like, man, this is sick. This is not what I was expecting from a Castlevania show. So this one kind of incorporated that throughout more of the series. And there's certain episodes where it kind of comes out a little bit more. And I was like really into it, man. Anyway.
Yeah. Episode 3, there's a lot of that really cool stylistic stuff that I think that's my favorite episode of the season.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm really, really happy with how that one turned out. Thank you so much, Jordan.
Cheers.
Yeah. If anybody hasn't watched it yet, please give it a go. I actually tabulated it recently, and the runtime of the entire first season is shorter than the length of Avatar 2: The Way of Water. So not much of a reason to skip it if you've watched the James Cameron epic of previous mention. And if you like sexy vampires, because there's a lot of that too. But thank you, Jordan. That means so much. That's so sweet of you. I finished Cocoon the other day. fucking awesome game. No notes. That game was fucking fantastic from start to finish. Yippe Carlson, one of the creators of Limbo and Inside. This is his next game. Really, really great game. I think it was like a little like obtuse for me at the very start of the game, and I was like, I don't know, some of these puzzles are a little easy, and I feel like it's just like being obtuse to be obtuse in the way that it tells its story, but then it all just kind of like comes together, right? And it's like you have to kind of like give it a little bit of time, and then it like really feels satisfying, and it's not, and the story is, and like what's actually happening is so up to the player's interpretation on like how they want to really interpret it, and it's just a very special game. It's on the Switch. I really, really recommend Cocoon. That's such a fantastic game, and one of the best soundtracks of the year. I'm going to start listening to that all the time. Also, I did a little stream the other day with that game. I also started up Myst 3 Exile again. I'm kind of like working my way through the Myst games, or at least these first 3. I know there's like a bit of a quality drop off at 4, and then 5 is like supposed to be pretty bad. So I really just like kind of have been wanting to like play these first 3 after I played Riven recently. Myst 3 is a really, really awesome game. It is not made by Cyan, who made Myst and Riven. But it's actually made by Presto Studios, who did the Journeyman Project games. But this game is really great and holds up like today in a really interesting way, because it like has this like 360 degree view. So it's still like you go forward a screen at a time, but then it's kind of like Google Maps, like Street View, where you can kind of look around in all areas, right? So it's not like fully 3D, but it has the like good like pre-rendered graphics from before. And then when you're playing on Steam Deck, it's great because you can use gyro to like look around in those like 360 bubbles, and it like feels really natural and good to like solve puzzles that way and explore the world in that way. And so I've been really enjoying that. Kind of getting back on my Myst kick with those. And then a couple other little ones here. I mean, obviously you guys saw me playing Logi Art Grimoire in the last section if you're watching the YouTube version of this. I also did start a new run of Cyberpunk 2077. I haven't bought Phantom Liberty yet, the actual DLC, but I did want to like start a new playthrough of that game with the 2.0 update. And I've been wanting to do a new playthrough of that anyway, play as female V this go around, do a different starting stats and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, the game is gorgeous. It plays so great on the Series S. I love that game. And then, you know, the Phantom Liberty expansion doesn't happen until a little bit into the game anyway. So I'm kind of just fucking around, getting my feet wet in that world again. And then I'll probably eventually buckle down and buy the expansion sometime later in the year after all the big first party Nintendo games that are coming out that I want to play actually come out. And then lastly, I want to bring up Binding of Isaac. I haven't played Binding of Isaac, any version of Binding of Isaac, in probably like 2 years. It's been a fucking minute. But actually, Edmund McMillan and the team at Nicholas recently announced that they're bringing online multiplayer into the Binding of Isaac. Like many, many years later, they're actually finally building in like online co-op into the game, and you can play with your friends. And so that's
original or Rebirth. Sorry,
it's only going to be Afterbirth Plus or whatever the most recent expansion is, with like everything in it, right? And so, you know, they've got is that what it's called? No, Repentance, I think, is what the most recent update was called. But yeah, and so that kind of got me like interested in playing it again. And I have Rebirth itself on Steam, and all the other ones I bought on Switch. And I know like multiplayer is coming first to Steam, so I haven't bought like the DLC yet on Steam Deck. But I think whenever the multiplayer comes out, I will end up getting it on Steam, just so I can play with friends online, because a lot of my friends in like New York, we would play that game all the time, and it just sounds like it'd be such a fun time to play with my friends that are far away, right? And so that'll be cool. And then yeah, I also played like the original game as well, just like firing that up. I played a little bit of Wrath of the Lamb, which was like the Flash version of Isaac. I was playing some of that and just going down memory lane and playing that original version, which holds up to this day. It's still really fun. But yeah, those are the games I've been playing. What about you, Summer? What have you been playing this week?
Yeah, not a lot. The couple of times I fired up my Switch, I was poking into my Animal Crossing island, actually, doing this new thing where I also get my accordion out while I have Animal Crossing up, and I'm like playing along with whatever the current like song is, or like with whatever KK Slider song is playing. It's been like a fun way to be working on learning how to play that instrument. Yes, Jordan.
I'm sorry, you play accordion?
I'm learning. Yeah. So
Yo,
I got the
that's
accordion
sick.
I got it as a Christmas. No, I've been doing my research about how to fly with it because I fully intend on taking it with me to MagFest. I am planning a very big competitive cosplay build that goes along with the accordion that I'll maybe spoil at a different. I'm making Cass.
You'll spoil it now.
Cosplay. Yeah. But I'm learning to play all kinds of stuff on the accordion. It's been a lot of fun. But so Animal Crossing is what I've been playing. And I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Go still. And lately there was a Detective Pikachu event. Currently, I think it runs through tonight. You can still catch Detective Pikachu, Slowpoke with the detective hat. Other Pokemon that are prominent in the series have also been in higher frequency, like Ducklet and Lotad, Growlithe. So it's a good time to catch those Pokemon too. Still haven't gotten a Ducklet with good enough stats that I want to evolve into a Swanna, but I did get a shiny Detective Slowpoke the other day. So I haven't. If you are playing Pokemon Go, please add me. I need more. I'm in deep, and Pokemon just like socially and like culturally, like even if the games are not good, I'm like. I have that brand of autism where because I played it so much as a child, there is a part of my brain that's designated for Pokemon. So it's just part of who I am, regardless of what happens to the company. All right. That's me.
Cool. Well, that does it for this week's episode on Detective Pikachu Returns. If there's anything we talked about that you have any thoughts or comments on, definitely, send us a DM, reply in the comments, or join the Discord. And with that, well, thanks to MilkyWay.co, who does our website. Thanks to Corduroy, who does our music. And if you're looking for me, Patrick, online, I am PDYX.
You can find me online at Bordan. Just hit me up in the Discord. I've been also posting a lot more of my film photography and my stories on Instagram, if you're curious about that kind of thing.
You can find me just about everywhere at Weebwitched.
And I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. If you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook. We got a website, switchheads.com. And then, like what Jordan was saying, we got the Discord, and we have a Facebook group as well. Both of those will be we'll have links to both of those in the description of this episode, whether that be on Spotify or on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, make sure you follow us over there and watch the video version if you can, for all sorts of wonderful goodness and clips of things we'll show on there, and our faces and the little transitions. And it's a great place to be. The YouTube comments, they're bussin' these days, as the kids say. Absolutely bussin' YouTube comments over there. So shoot us a subscribe. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode of Super Switch Headz. Episode 229. Can you believe it? My goodness gracious. We're going to be back next week with another great episode. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be yet. We got a couple good ideas. Either way, they're going to be good. And then we're back soon. We're going to be talking about Mario Wonder as well. We got a whole bunch of great shows lined up for you. And after Mario Wonder, we got an even better show. Guys, it's going to be nonstop bangers for the rest of the month. So make sure you tune in. We love you guys very much. We'll see you next week. Be kind to yourself and one another. Bye-bye.